Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's back to the rumor mill we go, and the latest one has to do with Henry Cavill potentially starring in Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, yes, we know that the edict on high from over there at Burbank to Kathleen Kennedy's Disney Lucasfilm over there was to change things around, to go back to things that would actually work, and of course try to return to some stories that actually end up selling toys, which of course the current iteration of Disney Star Wars does not in any way, shape, or form. And honestly, boys and girls, even if this rumor turns out to be true, I don't think it's really going to do a whole lot to revitalize the Star Wars franchise. I think that's pretty much a DOA situation because it's been pretty much bad since the very beginning of Disney Star Wars. I mean, the first movie out there was boring and bland, and it was literally nothing more than a rehash of The New Hope, and it didn't get any better from there, ladies and gentlemen. And now we see the current state of Disney Star Wars. We see how much absolute abomination is. All you have to do is go to an Ollie's to find out where you can find all the current and latest Star Wars toys on discount, because that's where all of them end up. So take this with a giant grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen, but needless to say, I love me some Henry Cavill, because he is a nerd's nerd, and I will gladly check out and talk about the rumors that have to do with him. Plus, y'all seem to love him on the thumbnail as well. So here we go. From CosmicBook.News and our dear sweet Matt McGloin, Henry Cavill rumored for Star Wars. Now, obviously, take this with a big rumor, but this is not the first kind of time that we've seen hints of something like this in the past. Henry Cavill and some of these other guys have a relationship with this kind of stuff inside of Hollywood. We also know that Henry Cavill is a big Star Wars fan. At the end of the day, people have asked me in the past, why do I support Henry Cavill in just about everything he does? Because Henry Cavill is one of the few Hollywood people out there that is a nerd's nerd. The guy talks the way we talk. He loves a lot of the things we love. He comes out and defends us against a lot of the acolytes of the cult out there that try to ask gotcha questions. I mean, one of the famous ones out there is why, he asked, there's like, they asked you about what toxic fans. He's like, there's no such thing as toxic fans. Fans are just fans, and they're very passionate about things, and they're going to express their opinions. That doesn't make them toxic. They're just fans. And at the end of the day, that's what ingratiates Henry Cavill to myself and so many other people out there. So even though I think this rumor might be with a giant grain of salt and hopefully will not actually end up coming to fruition, and I'm going to give you some of my reasons as to why with that going forward as well, but we're going to check it out anyway. So before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below letting us know what you think about this. Would you like to see Henry Cavill actually lead a Star Wars saga going forward? Do you think this would actually give some refreshing to the series out there and actually maybe bring some fans back in? Or are you of the opinion, like most people out there, Star Wars is DOA? No matter what they do, they just need to shelve it or shell it off or cancel some stuff or do something different with things going forward. Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. We do have a t-shirt store now, boys and girls. All right, so from our dear Matt McGloin over at CosmicBook.News. With Disney Star Wars in dire need of adding testosterone, a new rumor claims that Henry Cavill might be joining a galaxy far, far away. We've also been told that Henry Cavill has been in talks with Marvel about playing Wolverine. Recently, he's been seeing the former Superman actor sign up for the new live-action Voltron movie. Following that, Cavill will pick up the sword for Highlander reboot with John Wick director Chad Stahelski. And it's one of those situations where this right here shows you how busy Henry Cavill currently is. And they don't even mention the Warhammer 40K stuff, which hopefully we'll find out something by the end of December, if not in the very first beginning of the year, whether that's actually going to happen or not. But at the end of the day, the guy's very busy. He's in demand. So it's one of those situations where even if he is in talks to be as part of a Star Wars franchise out there, it's going to be a long ways off because his slate is kind of full for a while. But we also know that now the most recent, the 2026 Star Wars movie has now been removed from it, whether it's the Rey movie or whether it's something else. We know that has gone the wayside, now has been replaced with Ice Age 6. So it looks like they've definitely got plenty of time to work on and develop an actual Star Wars movie. And it looks like outside of Mandalorian and Grogu, we're not going to get an actual movie in the theaters anytime soon, which means most likely the Rey movie might not happen. Now replace Rey with Henry Cavill as your protagonist going forward? Methinks that would at least pique the interest of some people. But at the end of the day, unless they erase the sequel trilogy, there ain't no going back, boys and girls. The rumor comes from X user My Time to Shine Hello, aka Twitter. So take it with a grain of salt. Now, given My Time to Shine Hello does have a halfway decent track record. They've had a few things that didn't end up coming to fruition, but for the most part, they've been pretty significant. There are also obviously some rumors around there that they might be like an actual Disney employee that intentionally leaks this kind of stuff out there just to see how people feel about it. But at the end of the day, I don't know. no, I don't have any reason not to take them at their face value. All I can do is look at their track record, and their track record has been pretty accurate. So guess what? My time to shine. Hello. If you are simply one of those Disney people out there trying to put this kind of information out there and feel it, yes, please, by all means. If nothing else, I would love to see Henry Cavill as a Jedi. I think it would be absolutely hilarious. And if Henry Cavill comes in and does a Star Wars movie and it ends up doing gangbusters and just absolutely shatters the records of everything else Star Wars, or even if they make a television series out of it starring Henry Cavill and it absolutely smashes all of this agenda-driven insert your identity politics nonsense that we have seen out of Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars, well, ladies and gentlemen, that would just be the cherry on top of the sundae, because that would be absolutely hilarious to watch a strong male protagonist like Henry Cavill literally beat the behinds of every other series that has come out of Disney Star Wars. But the user claims that Henry Cavill has had discussions with Lucasfilm about the recently announced Simon Kinberg Star Wars trilogy. Oh, yes. And Simon Kinberg's actually got some pretty good stuff behind him. He's worked on some pretty good projects in the past. So this actually might end up being halfway decent. I think he worked on like The Days of Future Past, which I know a lot of people really enjoyed those X-Men movies. And he's got some other good pedigrees under his belt too. So it's a guy that can do some good stuff. But the problem is we've seen directors come in that are good in the past. And as soon as they get inside of Kathleen Kennedy's Disney Star Wars, Lucasfilm over there, they immediately become absolute shells of themselves because Kathleen Kennedy rules that place with an iron fist. So we'll have to see what happens if they end up ruining Simon Kinberg, just like they have done in the past with other people. No other details about Cavill's Star Wars are known, and little is known about the new Kinberg Star Wars trilogy. Reports offer the Kinberg Star Wars trilogy will continue the Skywalker saga with episodes 10, 11, and 12. Yet at the same time, reports offer it will not be a continuation and will be new. And once again, this is kind of some of the rumor stuff that we've heard from reliable sources like That Park Place and some other places that were like, hey, the word is from Burbank, you need to make something that's going to sell. Put men back in it. Make Luke Skywalker a priority again. Whether or not that's actually going to end up being the case, we'll have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, we know Star Wars in its current form is broken and is not working very well. And at this time right now, it seems like Bob Iger is trying to turn things around and actually straighten out his company before the next CEO comes in and turns, because what they're doing right now is not working. And now after the election, there has been a very obvious saying from the people, a very obvious edict from the people out there that this nonsense doesn't work. It's known Henry is a big Star Wars fan. And interestingly enough, back when Zack Snyder filmed Batman vs. Superman, it was filming at the same time Jar Jar Abrams was filming Star Wars The Force Awakens. Yeah, aka A New Hope. Snyder is also a big Star Wars fan. He once pitched Rebel Moon as a Star Wars project, and at the time of filming, Snyder and Abrams had fun on social media by releasing Batman, Superman, and Star Wars crossovers and mashes above the Henry Cavill Jedi image. So yeah, it's not like this isn't something that's been talked about before. It's not like this isn't something that's been thrown around before in the past. But at the end of the day, whether or not this rumor is true, Henry Cavill is still a very busy man. He's got a lot of great projects on. And at the end of the day, Disney Star Wars has done this to itself. It is DOA. It's a dead franchise. The toy sales prove that. And the numbers that continue to decline on Disney Plus for every new series that comes out. The real question is, how well will that Grogu and Mandalorian movie end up doing in the theaters? And at the end of the day, outside of the people that actually watch the Mandalorian season on Disney Plus, nobody else is really going to know who these characters are. People are going to think it's like Boba Fett or something like that for all of like the normal common nerd kind of Star Wars fans, or maybe just the absolute normies out there. And at the end of the day, that's who you have to appeal to the most. But the way you do that is you end up making the hardcore nerds happy. We spread the gospel of how good your stuff is out there to all the normies, and the normies are like, yeah, we love Star Wars. We'll come in and watch that too because the nerds said it was good. At the end of the day, that's what ends up happening, and that's the direct opposite of what Disney Star Wars has done. Do I believe Henry Cavill will end up in Star Wars? I have honestly no idea. He's a very busy man, and unless it's something that's several years out, which honestly, concerning the fact that it looks like everything's been pushed back, it will be. Would I love to see Henry Cavill as a Jedi? Would I love to see him as the main protagonist going forward in a Star Wars franchise? Absolutely. Will it save Disney Star Wars? No. They did that to themselves with completely and totally ignoring the fans, giving us what we wanted, and let Kathleen Kennedy self-insert herself into a Star Wars brand as the main protagonist, and it blew up in their faces. And now everything they put out there has been nothing but disastrous dumpster fires, and honestly, I don't have a lot of faith even if Henry Cavill is in it. He'll probably get talked down to by women, and it'll just be more of Kathleen Kennedy controlling absolutely everything. So at the end of the day, we will find out whether or not Henry Cavill actually ends up in Star Wars and Disney Star Wars, and Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and everybody else over there involved in that nonsense. Well, you're already getting exactly what you deserve, and you'll get even more of it with this.